Salutations! I knew I'd find something to talk about before Father's Day. Soapboxing4Rinoa episode 5 coming at you. And I thought of this when watching a most recent YouTube channel about pro wrestling called Keep Calm, Talk Wrestling. I'll link the video in the description. Justine Cager, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. But she talked about the Extreme Rules pay-per-view and the Raw that followed. She even had a special guest, Chris Jericho, on the end of the video. The reason I'm making this as a video response, because she had a question to help get comments on that video. She wanted opinions on a very much talked about and debated topic regarding the state of wrestling and sports entertainment, the old Attitude Era versus PG Era. Which one's better? I'm doing this as a video response because I actually had a lot to talk about this, and I personally felt it wouldn't do much justice just being a YouTube comment of 500 characters or less. Now, I'm not an expert or know-it-all on this. I'm just stating my opinion as I always do, so anyway, here we go. I personally came into Raw around WrestleMania 13, which was back when the WWF at the time was in heavy competition with WCW, which of course many believe, and it's a strong argument that that competition is what made the Attitude Era so great. WWF had to push the envelope to compete with WCW's big thing at the time, which was the NWO. Also coupled with the fact that Ted Turner or Eric Bischoff, either or both, spending money, stealing away WWF's top stars at the time. Both shows got a lot riskier and more brazen with their level of wrestling. ECW brand at the time reflected this as well, as this really dark horse promotion that dared to go even further, giving even more competition. TNA's mindset is the same as far as luring WWE stars, but the only problem is they're not top guys anymore in the WWE. They've already been featured, endeavored, and they don't have anything for them anymore. Which is arguably the case why TNA is not really considerable competition as WCW was back in the day. The closest they ever came, I think, was Christian and Kurt Angle. But those two left of their own volition. They weren't lured away by TNA at all. I know there was this big angle, I think, back in 2006. DX and the TNA had the Voodoo Kin Mafia thing, which pretty much fell flat in its ass because WWE would not take the bait. They knew what it was. It's basically just a sad ripoff of what DX did back during their invasion of WCW skits, because back then, for the most part, DX was about the clique, which speaks volumes about TNA. WCW outright lured away top talent. TNA is the equivalent of vagrants going through your trash cans to see if they could find something they can use, and it really shows sometimes, which is why WWE can now rest easy. They don't have to push the envelope anymore. They fought tooth and nail with WCW to keep the top spot they have now. They're not going to let go of that for anything or anyone. And the question you're probably thinking now is, hey, if WWE's still at the top of their game, why did they suddenly change it over to the PG Era? Yeah, well, I got two words for you. Public image. In the Attitude Era, people were outside the business would question whether or not the WWE, or even back in WWF time, was suitable entertainment or not. They actually tried to shut it down, have it slammed in the media. That whole steroid scandal way back when was probably the beginning of all this, and that's when the negative feedback began. And later on, we started seeing a lot of early deaths before wrestlers would even turn 50. Most recently, well, there haven't been any in a while, but I know off the top of my head, Brian Pillman, Owen Hart, Eddie Guerrero, Test, Chris Benoit. WWE, knowing the media backlash with those deaths, they had to change their public image. They had to do it for the kids. They had to tone the violence down, introduce the wellness policy, and even enforce it. They got rid of a top star in Jeff Hardy because of that. It's probably what saved Edge from living in a wheelchair right now, because WWE is more attuned to the welfare of their talent now. But basically, yeah, it's damage control to get the media to back off, put WWE in a better light, so they can continue to do business and make money. Some of which went to Linda's failed political runs, but that's besides the point. There's also this whole anti-bullying campaign all of a sudden. Thankfully, that whole stand-up for WWE didn't last very long. I considered that a complete joke. Which leads to my next topic. Nostalgia is not always kind. It can sometimes be even a little painful. Yeah, the current PG era has some bad ideas. Still do, in my opinion. I would see YouTube comments all the time on these old clips and Attitude Era stuff while I'm watching on YouTube, saying how much better we had it, making it almost seem like how the Attitude Era was just infallible and could do no wrong. I hear that and I think, Meet Stasiak. I hear that and think, Beaver Cleaver. What the hell was so goddamn special and memorable about the oddities, other than the fact that they looked weird and had ICP with them? We get people nowadays talking about, oh, The Rock's just doing, like, old, tired catchphrases and he's repeating the same lines. Watch his old stuff back in the Attitude Era. Some of you probably think the same thing now that you think about it. Once again, nostalgia isn't always kind. Alright, you're all thinking, well, he's talked about things, but he hasn't really answered the question yet. Let's get down to brass tacks. Which do I think is better, Attitude Era or current PG Era? 9 times out of 10, of course, we'll say Attitude was better, and I'm inclined to agree. But I recognize what it was and why WWE can't go back to that, for better or for worse. But I don't dismiss the PG Era and saying it's not as good. In some cases, I think it's better. Whenever those on the writing staff want it to be. You can have really good matches without the need for violence and bloodshed and profanity and partial nudity. None of those are what make a good wrestling show, in my opinion. Wrestling at its basic core element is the wrestling. Maybe some soap opera storytelling involved to make it matter even more, to give it weight. You can do that in any rating, and in some cases it'll hold up better. Some people would even go further back and prefer the Golden Age, the San Martino era, or maybe the Hogan era. They've had their bad stuff too, I'm pretty sure. All eras have good and bad in it. Everything has good and bad in something. It's unfair to dismiss one or the other simply because your preference doesn't meet up. I understand where that comes from, though. Believe me. I don't like change. You've seen me rant on Twitter before whenever YouTube changes their site, mostly because their changes, in my opinion, are utter crap. But even I was like, the thing they have now for the homepage for people who are unsubscribed to your channel, you can do a trailer and let people know about your channel. I like that. I don't like how the homepage looks, but I like that. But yeah, I guess I like the Attitude Era better, just because it matters more due to the competition. WWE doesn't have that anymore. But so I still won't dismiss the current era. I like the current era because in that regard, there's less focus on what's edgy and more focus on the matches, more focus on entertainment aspect of it. Sometimes for better, for worse, like what they think is trending worldwide. WWE you should really need to let us decide that for ourselves, thank you. You work on giving us good matches. Please stop with your apps. Stop shoving that down our throats. Thank you for looking out for Dolph Ziggler, though. That's the good with them. We like him a lot. We want him to continue liking him on TV. We like him as world champion. Yeah, see? WWE has good and bad in it. Everything is good and bad in it. That's just how life is, I think. It's the duality of things. That's going to do it for me. And to paraphrase one of the Attitude Era's good ideas, I'm searching for a Noah, and that's my opinion.